Tinsman is our speaker. Carl comes to us with 30 years experience with the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Carl, I don't know what you did to get assigned to places like Afghanistan and Yemen and Liberia and Sudan and Ethiopia, but that's where he works. That's where they put him, in some of the toughest places around the world. The last 4 years of his experience with the World Health Organization, Carl ran and orchestrated the polio eradication efforts. And in the past 7 years, as he's been working as a consultant after leaving WHO, he has spearheaded a lot of the polio eradication work around the world. We're fortunate that Carl is right here from our own backyard. He is a fellow Rotarian in the Boulder Club. He is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. He's somebody that has been out in the world, has seen this, has done this. His wife is Ethiopian, so he lives his world. Carl, we're just tickled to have you today. Well, to both President Doug's, thank you very much for the kind introduction. I am just blown away by being here and seeing all of this end polio stuff that you have right here in the very first club here in Colorado. I always was proud of our Boulder Rotary Club because we were second or third, but this is my first opportunity to be here with the mother club. And so I can't tell you how honored I am, not just to be here, but also to have the opportunity to address you on something that is very important to the world and very important to me. I am a polio eradicator. That's what I do. And I am very, very committed to this task, such that even 5 years after my retirement from the UN, I'm still doing it in places like Pakistan and Afghanistan. I'm told I have 15 minutes, including showing you a 90-second video, so forgive me if I speak in bullets. The title today is Chasing Polio. We're 99% there, but is the virus still winning? For those of you who have to walk out in the next 14 minutes before I finish, let me give you the answer up front. The virus is winning on a couple of battlefronts, but it's losing the war. But first, a little history for the Rotary youngsters in the crowd who haven't heard the background before. Polio is an ancient disease. It's been around for thousands of years, back at least to the 15th century BC. It causes paralysis, and when striking adults, even death. It is an incurable disease. Once you have it as a young child, you are paralyzed for life. In recent times, Sir Walter Scott had it. Jack Nicklaus had it. Mia Farrow had it. And of course, Franklin D. Roosevelt had it. They had it along with thousands of Americans, some 58,000 back in 1952. And including Coloradans, which experienced hundreds of cases per year in the early 1950s. In 1954, the first polio vaccine, invented by Dr. Jonas Salk, underwent a massive field trial that immunized more than 1.8 million children in 44 states. The trial was announced a success in April 1955, and by 1957, the U.S. experienced fewer than 6,000 cases of polio. In 1964, there were only 122 cases in the United States. But polio continued to rage, practically unabated, in much of the rest of the world. In 1985, there were approximately 350,000 cases of polio per year worldwide, and 125 countries were still endemic with polio. And that same year, 1985, at its annual convention in Philadelphia, Rotary International declared its intention to eradicate polio from the world and pledged $120 million to do it. A couple years later, big international organizations like the World Health Organization and UNICEF signed on, along with the American government's Centers for Disease Control. 30 years later, big foundations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation signed on. But Rotary made the promise, and Rotary made it first. And despite setbacks and delays over the years, Rotarians have never wavered. As one president of Rotary International said, we made a promise, and by God, we're going to keep it. So where are we today? Total Rotary giving for polio is now over $970 million and is projected to go to about $1.2 billion before this is over. Think about that. Rotary, $1.2 billion from Rotarians across the world. This is an incredible amount of money and an incredible achievement for Rotarians across the world. The number of countries with endemic polio has gone from 125 in 1985 to only 4 as of 2006. The number of cases from 350,000 to less than 2,000 cases per year, every year since the year 2000. Rotary grants have gone to 122 different nations since the inception of the eradication effort. So the good news is that we are 99% of the way there, and indeed have been for some time. The bad news is that last 1% has proven the hardest to achieve, and way harder than anyone thought even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, in 2006, we had a total of 1,997 cases of polio in the world. Mostly in the 4 still endemic countries, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. But 128 of those 1,997, were in non-endemic reinfected countries, countries where we had eradicated once or twice, but the virus had come back, exported from the endemic countries, and the virus reestablished transmission in these reinfected countries. Some 13 such countries, from DR Congo